coaches and ADs, as I prepare to come to your school for session 2. I wanted to send you this quick message, just to let you know some of the topics that I'm going to be talking with your athletes about, and what I'm going to be asking them to do. But also, as I want to make a practice of it before each session, is to give you a challenge as well to think maybe in the same way as they do, through some of the questions and some of those challenges that I give to them to give to you as well. So just getting to it, I'm going to start out with a review of session 1. So session 1, in simple terms, it was about self-awareness, that the best leaders, the best characteristic, the most important characteristic of a great leader is self-awareness, because then it covers all those other characteristics. They know that they're going to be living in that space of a good characteristic or not, because they're going to be self-aware of it. So we practiced some self-awareness activities. And then the second thing was placing our focus as athletes on those things that we have 100% control over. And many times athletes and even coaches and ADs, all of us, we tend to put our focus on the outcomes rather than on those things that we actually have 100% control over. So I gave them an activity of asking themselves 9 questions, writing them down, and maybe putting them in a locker or somewhere that they can see it throughout the day, to remind themselves and take some time to look at it and ingest those questions, those 9 questions, questions that are geared towards placing their mind on those things that they have 100% control over. So an example might be something like, what can I do today to improve my conditioning? Well, they have 100% control over the answer to that. Or for me, who is it that I need to bring my A game for today? So being intentional about eyes on other people and thinking about others, I have 100% control over that. So the concept is basically to put your focus on the process, those things that we have control over. So session 2, we're going to begin opening up some different concepts. And in session 1, I talked with several students that that struggle, which is not going to be a shock to you, but they struggle with a lot of the head game stuff. They have fear that binds them up. They have, they're tight. They feel a fear of failure. And how do they, rather than just get over it, how do they get over it? What are some techniques or skills that they can adapt and put in their back pocket that might help them through those moments? So that's what we're going to talk about in session 2. And we're going to start with gratitude. So we're going to start with what does gratitude mean? What does it mean to have a mindset of gratitude? It's my belief that if we live in gratitude, have a grateful heart, that it can change our mindset. It can change how we see the day. But more importantly, I think what it does is it creates a framework in our mind of the day ahead of us. So practicing gratitude for me is to have a list every morning, or create a list, or think of things that I'm grateful for, and then that kind of sets a mental framework for my day, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But so we talk about gratitude, and then we're going to do some things to practice gratitude, things like sending a text to a teammate of something they observe or admire about them, and stepping into that, and saying thanks to people, and a couple other things. One of them being creating a best moments list, thinking in your history, what are some things that just fire you up, and or you're really proud of, or that just really light you up inside. And I'm going to ask you to do some of that as well. Challenge you to do that in this Google form. So then we're going to discuss, even in a mindset of gratitude, what are those things that trip us up, that get us thinking negatively, thinking about fear, and I know that failure is going to come up, and one of the things that in failure that I'm going to make apparent is that there's a conversation, or there's voices in our head that start going when we fail or when we're in stressful moments. And a lot of times those voices are not helpful. They're not kind. They're not in our best interest to be listening to those voices. So I'm going to give them that. I'm going to talk to them about that, and I'm going to give them some strategies on what we can do to counteract that a little bit. And I'll tell you here in just a minute. But I ask them to identify. I'm going to ask them to identify what moments are those that seems to happen. Is there a certain type of moment? So I'm going to ask you that as well as a coach, because I think it's ultimately important for a coach in how we handle, or a leader in general, as an athletic director, or now in what I'm doing is in leading. I'm still dealing with all this head chatter stuff, and so what are those moments that predictably might trip me up and get in my way and start hearing those things in my mind and identify those, and so then I can be prepared, so it doesn't surprise me when I do get tripped up or get in that circumstance where I might start hearing those voices or not responding in a great way. And then my challenge to you as a coach is, okay, so let's, as we identify that, are we responding to those moments well? And here's what I'm going to say to the athletes. How we fail is going to communicate to everybody around us. So a moment of failure for an athlete is going to communicate something to the opposing team. It's going to communicate something to your teammate. It's going to communicate something to your coach. And I would say the same thing to you as a coach, that those moments that get you, you're communicating to your athletes. You're communicating to your assistant coaches. You're communicating to the fans. You're communicating to everybody that's witnessing you. And you need to know that all eyes are on you as a coach. All eyes are on you in how you respond in those tough moments. So the question is, if you could be intentional about those moments, what would be the best way to respond to the moments that you know that they get you? What would be the best way to respond? And know that answer, because there is a way to get to that kind of response. It doesn't have to be just, my emotions got the best of me, and that's just how I am, or how I do things. No, because you're not communicating great things when your emotions get the best of you. You can be better than that. So if you can be better than that, what would that look like? And create that image in your own mind of, if I'm going to improve as a coach, as a leader, how can I respond in those moments? Here's the moments that get me. Here's what I would like to be communicating in those moments when I am getting caught in my head, in my own head. And then here's some things, the biggest thing so jumping back to gratitude, if we're living in a mindset or a heart of gratitude, then when those moments get us, it's going to be more apparent to us when our mind starts veering off of that gratitude or that place that we're in. And we're going to notice that if we're in practicing gratitude, and we're going to notice that. So the first thing is noticing that. And actually what's happening, there's brain science happening, that the activity is going to the back of our brain rather than the front of our brain. The back of the brain is the emotional, fight or flight type of stuff is going on in the back of your brain. So we want to get it back to the front of our brain, where we're acting more rational. We're acting more clearly in our mind, and we can think, we can respond, and rather than react. So a couple techniques that can help us do that is, first of all, if we're living in that gratitude and our framework is built, we're going to notice our mind is going off in a different way. So as we notice that, two techniques that I use is just to breathe. I take some deep breaths. I focus on them. I might bring a deep breath in and hold it, and then release it. And what that does is that brings focus and attention. It starts moving activity back into the front of your brain. Another thing I'll do is I'll just do this with my fingers, and I'll focus on the sensation, the feeling, and it brings my focus to something and how I feel, something I'm controlling, you know, the feel of my fingertips, and I'll just do that for a couple seconds and just calm myself down. It's important as a leader of something that is an emotional gig like athletics, that you have some techniques for yourself to move your emotions from the back of your brain back to the front of your brain so that you can lead well, send the messages that you want to send, and grow in that way. So I'm going to ask you, you know, how would you do that? And I'm going to ask you some questions in this. So then, forgot the last couple steps. Then once we've got it in place, you know, our thinking back to the front of our brain, then we're going to notice I want to notice what is actually being said in my head. And because what we tend to do is believe what's being said in our head, and a lot of times it's a lie. So it might be something about ourselves. Hey, you know, we're coaching. We might be coaching at a high level. We you know, but we all deal with those negative things that go in our head that tell us lies about ourselves, and about what's going on in circumstances that we're walking through at that particular time. So we want to identify that, call it out, replace it with something else. So have something in your back pocket that's going to replace it. You know, that's a lie, or just say, you know, just call it out. Hey, that's a lie. I'm going to believe something else, or I'm going to talk back rather than being talked to. I'm going to make it a conversation. I'm going to say, you know what, that may or not be true, but here's what I'm going to choose to believe at this moment, because people need me and I need to respond well in this. Or sometimes it's, hey, you know, you're not a very good coach right now. You're saying that to yourself, or man, I wish I would have done that better, or man, I'm just not there. Maybe just throw a yet on there. I'm just not there yet. But you know, hey, mistake happened, and we're going to go with it and grow with it, and then repeat it. So then what ends up happening is our brain gets these new tracks of how we respond to these critical times, not in a negative just response way, but we get in tune and practice of, boom, notice the emotion, move it, and then very intentional about how I frame my brain, and then I can lead. And then I'm in position to lead. If you're moving it from the back of your brain, you're not in a position to lead. And remember that you're communicating all the while. So, hey, I'm looking forward to session 2. I love spending time with your kids. Thank you for sending them to me. And I'll be sending you a podcast at the end of session 2 after I meet with the kids. So check it out. It's my first go at it. So any feedback would be great, but I'd love for you to watch it. My son-in-law sit down for a couple minutes and have a chat. So have a great day.